Welcome all to the third semi-annual convening of the Executive Committee of Deputy Associates of Community Affairs. Our topic here is the global response to Brazil's Fome Zero strategy. Fome Zero was one of the first major projects driven by the idea of the right to food, and it changed the conversation around hunger. Instead of focusing solely on increasing industrial food production, Fome Zero incorporated education and economic protections for small-scale agriculture. The program saw widespread success, though it was not without criticism. Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, used Brazil's Fome Zero to form an even more holistic strategy to combat global hunger. The UN Zero Hunger Challenge aims to incorporate standards for public health, environmental sustainability, and social justice in order to address those structures that keep people impoverished, undereducated, and hungry. Zero hunger by 2030 is a lofty goal. It can only be accomplished through large-scale institutional change and commitment and cooperation on all levels of governance.
As a representative of the African region, it's also interesting to recognize the significant impacts of Brazil's Fome Zero on the issues of malnutrition and hunger. In 2014, African heads of state and governments came together to lay the foundations of the Malabo Declaration after learning of Brazil's success and declared to end hunger by 2025. So one strategy we adopted was school feeding programs, which actually were directly inspired by Brazil's 1955 law to make primary and secondary school feedings mandatory. Another strategy was the Africans for Africa program, which promotes food security and income production in vulnerable communities. And these two methods also collaborated as the Africans for Africa program increased vulnerable farmers' access to school feeding programs. So while this region has just recently implemented these strategies, we have an enormous potential to lift millions of people out of food insecurity and poverty.
It seems like Africa has benefited from Brazil's strategies. Have Brazil and Africa collaborated on any zero hunger projects?
Actually, yes. We collaborated on the 1 Million Cisterns for Sahel project, which mirrors the 1 Million Cisterns for Brazil. And these projects provide simple and cost-effective rainwater harvesting and storage systems for agriculture and farming, while also providing clean water. We have communicated on this project in order to share knowledge and experience on methods and approaches that work best for the people. We believe communication and collaboration are key to development.
I'm happy to be here representing the Asia and Pacific region. Our Zero Hunger Challenge was formally launched in April 2013.
Congratulations on that launch. Did Asia and the Pacific benefit from Brazil's strategies in a similar way to Africa?
The Fome Zero strategy was very successful in Brazil because they took a human rights approach to the hunger problem. They decided that everyone should have a right to food, and they made sure to include marginalized groups in their decision framework. Brazil was successful because they created advising tools like the National Council for Food and Nutrition Security, also known as CONSIA, where basically the president would be reported to directly about these issues. In doing this, they were wiped off the FAO hunger map.
So, this news is great, and I'm sure many more governments are interested in joining this movement. For potential new candidates, what are some political tools that could easily be replicated?
So making sure the fight against hunger remains in political agendas is essential, right, to accomplish this SDG 2. And for that matter, parliamentary alliances are a very effective tool. What they do is that they unite cross-party parliamentarians around the same goal and have the power to actually act on legislation, public policies, and national budgets. I should mention the Parliamentary Front Against Hunger in Latin America and the Caribbean, which initiated this model and has since then inspired many other groups to do the same. Those type of organizations are great because they encourage cooperation at different levels, across different sectors, and among diverse players. Although the end goal is identical for all, ending hunger and malnutrition, the focus differs among each. For instance, in the Latin American front, mentioned before, promoting family farming is at the core, while in Japan, the focus is more on reducing food waste.
Sounds like a great plan. However, are there any challenges that we should be aware of?
I would say one of the biggest challenges we've been confronted with is the vulnerability of these alliances to changes in politics. So we need to make sure we institutionalize them so their initiatives can be continued despite changes in government.
Cooperation, coordination, and commitment will be key to eradicating global hunger by 2030.